Imagine if Jon Snow never grew up in Winterfell. Imagine if Catelyn Stark didn't just hate him, but actually killed him as a baby. What would happen to the North, to the Starks, to Westeros? This one decision, one moment of fury, would change everything. Let's rewind to the day Jon Snow arrived at Winterfell. Ned Stark came home from Robert's rebellion, carrying a newborn baby in his arms. He told everyone the boy was his bastard, the child of some southern woman. No name, no mother, just a secret, and a lie. Catelyn was furious, broken. Her husband had never cheated on her before, not even in whispers. And now he was bringing home the proof of his betrayal, a bastard child under her roof. But here's the twist in our version of the story. Catelyn doesn't just look at the baby with disgust like she did in the real timeline. No. In this version, she looks at him and decides he can't stay. Ned gets called away just 2 days after, bringing Jon to Winterfell. A raven comes from the Eyrie. Jon Arryn needs him urgently. Ned kisses his newborn son goodbye, believing Catelyn will care for him until he returns. He doesn't know the rage burning inside her. That night, Catelyn walks into the nursery alone. No servants, just her and the child. She stares down at Jon. He's so small, so innocent, but all she sees is the face of the woman Ned chose over her, the woman he won't speak about, the woman he might still love. She reaches out slowly. Her fingers tremble. One thought floods her mind. If this baby dies, the shame dies with him, but fate plays a cruel game. Just as she reaches for the blanket to smother him, Maester Luwin walks in. He sees her standing over the baby, hands shaking, breathing hard. He doesn't say a word. He just stares at her. And that stare saves Jon Snow's life. Catelyn walks out of the room, silent, pale, and furious. But now a plan is growing in her mind. She won't kill him herself. No, that would be too risky. But if something happened to him, a fever, a fall down the stairs, a wolf attack, no one would question it. And that's exactly what almost happens next. 2 weeks later, Ned is still gone. A terrible storm hits Winterfell. The servants are panicking. The direwolf pups haven't been found yet. One of the wet nurses, on Catelyn's silent command, leaves Jon outside in the cold for just a minute. She says she forgot. She says she was distracted. But by the time they find him, the baby is barely breathing. Luwin saves him again. But now he knows something is wrong. Really wrong. He writes to Ned. When Ned returns, he's colder than the snow falling outside. He walks straight to Catelyn. "I know," he says. "I know you hate him, but he is my son. He has Stark blood, and he will be raised here." Catelyn doesn't answer, but she doesn't try again. At least, not directly. So in this world, Jon grows up, but not as a Stark, not even as a Snow. Ned, seeing how dangerous Catelyn's hatred is, gives Jon to a servant family to raise within Winterfell's walls. Jon becomes a stable boy. No noble education. No sword lessons with Roderick Castle. No words of wisdom from Ned. He watches Robb train from the shadows. He sees Arya and Bran laugh with their mother, never knowing that he's their brother, or that he nearly died before he even learned to speak. And yet, he survives. He grows strong, quiet, observant, and bitter. By the time he's 14, Jon knows he doesn't belong. He feels it in the way people ignore him, in the way Catelyn still looks at him like a shadow, like a curse. And when he finds out the truth, that he was nearly killed as a baby, it breaks something inside him. In this version of Jon Snow, there is no honor. There is no dream of the Night's Watch. There is only one thing, a need for answers. He steals a letter from Maester Luwin's quarters, a raven scroll that never reached Jon Arryn. In it, Ned had written, "His name is Aegon. He is not my bastard. He is Lyanna's son, and I will protect him, even from Catelyn." Everything changes in that moment. Jon realizes Ned lied to protect him, but not enough to save him from a life of cold, cruel exile in his own home. He decides to run, not to the Wall, not to the south, but to King's Landing. He wants to find the truth. Who was Lyanna? Why was her son hidden? Why did Ned never say anything? And most of all, if he's not Jon Snow, who is he? That's when we see the ripple effect. Because Jon leaves Winterfell early. No Night's Watch, no meeting with Tyrion, no protecting Lord Commander Mormont, no ghost. And back in Winterfell, Catelyn believes her nightmare is finally gone, but she has no idea that she's just created a new one. A very different Jon Snow is heading south, and Westeros isn't ready for him. Jon Snow, no, Aegon Targaryen, arrives in King's Landing with nothing but a name he shouldn't know and a rage he can't hide. He's 14, dirty, broke, and burning with questions. The capital is nothing like Winterfell. Loud, cruel, unforgiving. The people here don't care who you are. They care what you can do. And Jon? He can fight. He starts in the streets, brawls in the flea-bottom alleys, fights for coin. He gets stabbed once, wins twice, and learns fast. Honor is weakness, and trust is deadly. He doesn't stay homeless for long. A man named Borrow, a local. Sellsword sees him fight and offers food and a place to sleep. No questions asked. Jon takes it. Not because he trusts him, but because he knows how to survive now. While living under Borrow's roof, Jon starts asking around about Lyanna Stark, about Rhaegar Targaryen. He gets laughed at, then threatened, then beaten, but he keeps digging, and then, one day, he overhears something in a brothel. A drunken Goldcloak talks about a Tower of Joy, about a secret battle Ned Stark fought at the end of Robert's Rebellion, about how no one knows what really happened there. It's the first real lead Jon's had, and he knows what he has to do next. But before he can leave the city, he makes a mistake. He picks a fight with the wrong person, a Lannister knight, Sir Tyrick, arrogant, cruel, and dangerous. Jon insults him, publicly, in front of a crowd. The knight draws steel. And Jon, he doesn't back down. They fight, brutally. It's fast and vicious. Jon takes a slash to the shoulder, a kick to the ribs, but he doesn't stop. He's not fighting to win. He's fighting to kill, and he does. One brutal strike to the throat. Sir Tyrick bleeds out in the dirt. The crowd gasps, and suddenly, the bastard no one knew is wanted across King's Landing. Posters go up. Goldcloaks search every alley. Borrow throws him out, afraid of the heat. Jon disappears into the black cells of the city's underworld. He knows he can't stay, but someone finds him before the law does. Varys. The Spider. He's been watching, listening, and he's very, very interested in this angry northern boy who keeps whispering Targaryen names. Varys doesn't reveal everything. Not yet, but he says one thing that makes Jon's blood freeze. You are not the only one with dragon's blood. He offers Jon a deal. Information for obedience. Protection for silence. Jon refuses. He's done following liars, so Varys gives. Him just one piece of the puzzle. The Tower of Joy is in Dorne. That's where the truth sleeps. And then he lets Jon go. But as Jon flees the city, something unexpected happens. He runs into someone he never thought he'd meet. Arya Stark. She's only 11, here in King's Landing with her father Ned, who's just been named Hand of the King. She doesn't recognize him at first. He looks rough, older, meaner. But when she does, It hits her like a punch to the gut. Jon. They meet in secret, and Jon sees what he lost. A family that never truly was his. A sister who cried when he left, and a father who still won't tell the truth. Arya begs him to come back. Jon says he can't. He tells her about Lyanna, about the tower, about the name Aegon. Arya doesn't know what to believe, but she tells Ned, and that sets off a storm. Ned is terrified, not for himself, but for Jon, because now the boy knows the truth, or enough of it, and he's heading straight into the south, into Dorne, into danger. Ned tries to send a rider. Too late. Catelyn hears too, and she feels something new, not regret, not guilt, but fear, because the boy she tried to erase is still alive. And now he knows everything. Meanwhile, in Dorne, Jon is on the move. Every step he takes uncovers secrets, whispers, hints of a birth hidden by war and protected by blood. He finds old guards, retired knights, men who once served Rhaegar. They tell him about the woman in the tower, the screams, the baby. Jon finally puts it together. He is that baby, but it's not a relief. It's a curse, because now he's not just a bastard. He's the son of a dead prince, a symbol of a war no one wants to remember. And worst of all, he's a threat. The moment Dorne realizes who he is, they want to use him. House Martell sees him as a weapon against the Lannisters, a way to spark revenge, and maybe even war. But Jon doesn't want war, he wants justice, and he knows exactly where to start. Winterfell. 3 years have passed. Jon Snow, now knowing he's Aegon Targaryen, returns to the north. But not as a boy, not as a Stark, and not even as a Snow. He comes back as someone else entirely. A different name, a clean face, well-dressed, confident, dangerous. Nobody recognizes him. He enters Winterfell as a traveling noble from Dorne, claims he's on a trade route inspecting northern relations for House Martell. Sir Roderick welcomes him. Maester Luwin eyes him carefully, but no one sees it's Jon, not even Catelyn, and that's the moment Jon knows. He has the upper hand. He walks the halls like a ghost with a new face. Every stone, every corner, he remembers. It, where he slept, where he cried, where he almost died. He watches Catelyn from across the great hall. Older now, still sharp, still cold, but not untouchable. Not anymore. He doesn't want to kill her. Not yet. He wants her to know who he is before she dies. So Jon starts his plan. He befriends the servants, slips gold to the guards, wins over Maester Luwin with talk of knowledge, old texts, Dornish politics. At night, he walks the castle alone. Every room, every secret passage. Winterfell opens up to him. Then he goes deeper. He visits the crypts, stands before Lyanna Stark's statue, and whispers, "I'm here, Mother, and I'm not leaving empty-handed." But Jon's not the only one changing. Robb is now a man grown, a respected fighter. Everyone calls him the Young Wolf, even before the war begins. And he starts to get curious about this Dornish visitor. With Stark eyes, he watches him, tests him in the yard with a sparring match. And Jon, masking himself, holds his own. Robb compliments him, but deep down he feels something familiar. Arya's gone to Braavos by now. Bran is crippled. Rickon is too young. Sansa, she's in King's Landing. And Robb, he feels alone, until this strange noble starts to feel like a friend. That's the trap. Because Jon isn't here just for revenge anymore. He's here for Winterfell. He knows now. He's not a bastard. He's not a servant. He's the son of a prince. His blood is royal. His claim is real. And Winterfell, it's his too. He starts to play a long game. Quiet whispers to Lewin about Robb's inexperience. Letters to Dorne offering trade deals for northern grain. Private dinners with northern lords, talking about peace and southern gold. Slowly, he builds influence. And then it happens. News arrives. Ned Stark is dead, beheaded in King's Landing, betrayed by the Lannisters. The North is furious. Catelyn is destroyed. Robb prepares for war, and Jon. He watches chaos bloom. This is his moment. He approaches Robb in private, offers him support, ships, coin, even men from Dorne. But in return, he wants a seat at the table. He wants to be named Lord of Winterfell's Eastern Territories. A made-up title, but it gives him land, status, and command. Robb, blinded by grief, agrees, and just like that, the bastard becomes a lord. He starts controlling the parts of Winterfell from the shadows, moves loyal men into positions of power, changes routes, takes over supply lines. Winterfell becomes half his, and no one sees it happening. But Maester Lewin starts suspecting. He digs into Jon's letters, traces names, finds gaps in his story. One night, he confronts him. "You're not who you say. You are," he says. Jon just smiles. "I'm exactly who I need to be." And then, Lewin disappears. The official word is he fell from a tower. But Catelyn doesn't buy it, because right after that, she finally recognizes the visitor's eyes. Stark eyes. Snow eyes. Her mistake has returned. She confronts Jon late at night, alone in the Godswood. And for the first time in years, he speaks her name. Lady Stark. Her hand trembles on her blade. "You should be dead." He steps closer. "And you should have been my mother." Then he leans in. "I remember the cold. I remember the silence. I remember your eyes looking at me like I was a stain on your life." She raises the dagger, shaking, but he's faster. He grabs her wrist, disarms her, presses the blade to her throat. "I'm not here to kill you," he says. "Not yet. I want you to watch me take everything you tried to destroy." Then he drops the dagger at her feet and walks away. Catelyn is frozen, shaking, silent. Because now, she knows the truth. Jon Snow is back, and he's no longer just a threat. He's the next storm coming for the North. The War of the Five Kings has begun. Robb Stark rides south, leading thousands of northern men. Every bannerman calls him King in the North, the young wolf, the vengeance of House Stark. But behind him, Winterfell is not as loyal as he thinks, because while Robb fights on the field, Jon fights in the shadows. Back in Winterfell, Jon is no longer just a Dornish noble. He's Lord Aemon Waters now, a name forged from thin air, masked in enough truth to pass. And, thanks to Robb's desperation, he's been granted control over trade, storage, and supply routes, which means Jon owns the North's lifeline. Every sword Robb swings in the South relies on the food Jon ships out. Every raven that flies goes through Jon's watch. Slowly, Winterfell starts bending around him, without even realizing it. And then something wild happens. Theon Greyjoy returns. Just like in the real timeline, Balon Greyjoy sends Theon to win back the North, and this time, Jon sees it coming. Because he's already watching Theon, a cocky, insecure fool with loyalty to no one. Jon meets Theon privately, sits him down, pours him wine, and offers him a choice. "You want your father's respect?" Jon says. "Then don't burn the Stark banner. Replace it." Theon is confused. Jon leans in closer. "Help me take Winterfell, and I'll help you take the North." The plan is insane. Theon doesn't know Jon's true identity. He just sees an ambitious noble with resources and secrets. But he agrees, because Theon doesn't care about loyalty. He cares about power. Together, they stage a siege. Theon takes a small group of Ironborn and attacks Winterfell in the dead of night, but only one gate. Jon's guards are already pulled back. The walls are unguarded. It's not a battle, it's a handover. By morning, Winterfell is taken. The Maesters write that House Greyjoy has captured it. Ravens go flying. But inside the walls, it's clear. Jon Snow is now in charge. Theon walks around, pretending to be lord, but everyone listens to the Dornish advisor. Everyone follows him. And when the Northern Lords hear of Theon's betrayal, they rally, harder behind Robb, exactly what Jon wanted, because now Robb's stuck. He can't turn back to defend Winterfell. He has to keep fighting Tywin. Meanwhile, Jon turns the North into a power vacuum, and he's filling it one piece at a time. But power attracts attention and danger, because there's one person watching from the shadows. Roose Bolton. He visits Winterfell, pretending to negotiate with Theon, but really he's watching Jon, measuring him, testing him, and Jon knows. He plays polite, controlled, even invites Roose to dine, but that night he searches Roose's chambers and finds the letter, a secret raven to Tywin Lannister. There is a wolf in Winterfell, but he's not Stark. He's something worse. Jon burns it. Then he sends his own letter to Dorne. Begin the plan. House Martell will rise again. He's done hiding now. He gathers the northern smallfolk, holds a feast, speaks in front of everyone, and says, Winterfell needs stability. We can no longer trust the South. Not Greyjoys, not Lannisters, not Baratheons. Then he declares, I will act as protector of Winterfell until Robb Stark returns. Most cheer, some hesitate. Catelyn, she watches in horror, from a high balcony, powerless, and then Jon sends guards to her room, not to kill her, to lock her in. He tells her through the door, You tried to bury me, but now I'm the one writing your fate. Robb hears about it weeks later. He's in the Riverlands, fighting the Lannisters, holding together a fragile alliance. When the raven comes, he nearly drops it. His mother, locked in her own castle, Winterfell, controlled by a Dornish lord, and Theon, still pretending to rule. Robb sends men north immediately, but there, intercepted, delayed. Nothing gets through. He knows something deeper is happening, but he has no idea who is behind it. Jon knows, and he's just getting started, because the next letter Jon sends out isn't to Dorne, or the Riverlands, or even the North. It's to Daenerys Targaryen, and all it says is, You are not alone. Far across the narrow sea, in the sun-scorched halls of Meereen, Daenerys Targaryen holds a raven scroll in her hand. The seal isn't royal. It's not from Westeros's major houses, but the name inside, Aegon, not Viserys, not Rhaegar, not her. Unborn child, Aegon Targaryen. Alive. She doesn't believe it at first. Another pretender, maybe, but something about the writing, its confidence, its pain, makes her stop. The letter is short. No demands, just a truth bomb. Lyanna Stark didn't die for nothing. Rhaegar didn't die in vain. I am their son, and I'm ready to come home. Dany freezes, because if this is real, if Rhaegar's son lives, then she's not the last Targaryen. She's not alone anymore. She doesn't respond. Not yet. But she remembers the name. Back in Winterfell, Jon doesn't wait. He's rebuilding the castle, strengthening defenses, expanding the granaries, but it's not for the Starks, or the Greyjoys, or the Boltons. It's for him. his own seat, of power, a northern capital not for the old lords but for something new, something born of ice and fire. But Catelyn, she isn't done yet. Locked in a cold stone room, she's had nothing but time to think, and guilt's finally setting in. The boy she tried to erase has become a power greater than she ever imagined. And worse, he's not wrong. She starts writing letters, secret ones, hiding them in bread, passing them to the loyal servants, begging for help, begging someone, anyone, to stop him. One of those letters reaches Stannis Baratheon, and Stannis listens. He's always hated bastards, and now he hears of one ruling from a seat not his, pretending to be noble, possibly even Targaryen. To Stannis, that's a threat, a claim. He sends scouts north. Meanwhile, in the Riverlands, Robb's campaign is falling apart. The Freys are growing distant. The Karstarks are furious. And now the Glovers send him a raven. Winterfell no longer answers to you. The wolf you left behind has sharper teeth. Robb is torn. Abandon the war to reclaim Winterfell, or press on and hope it holds. He chooses war. But Jon's trap is working. Winterfell is turning into a capital of its own. Displaced lords are finding peace there. Traders are returning. The common folk are fed, warm, and safe. And for the first time, people start calling Jon something new, the White Dragon. Rumors swirl that he's a secret Targaryen, that he's the true heir, that the dragons will come for him, not Daenerys, that he's the one to unite the North and South. Jon plays it quiet. But behind the walls, he's gathering an army. He has the numbers, the loyalty, the weapons. But he's missing one thing, a dragon, and then the raven returns. Daenerys has replied, 7 words. If you are real, come and prove it. Jon knows what that means. He must leave Winterfell. He must face Daenerys. He calls Theon into the chamber, tells him he's leaving. Theon panics, says they'll lose control. But Jon, he's cold. Let them try. If they can take what I've built, they deserve it. He leaves at night with 5 loyal riders. No banners. No goodbye to Catelyn. No messages to Robb. Just a silent departure, headed east. But here's where it gets insane. Roose Bolton makes his move. He waited, watched, and now he strikes, sends Ramsay with a private force, quietly surrounds Winterfell. No official siege, just pressure, isolation. Catelyn hears the commotion, smells blood, and in a desperate, final move, she escapes, poisoned a guard, took his keys, fled, into the snow with only one goal. Find Robb, tell him everything, about Jon, about the betrayal, about the blood truth that could shatter everything. Meanwhile, Jon sails across the narrow sea, and when he steps onto Meereen's sands, Dany is waiting. Drogon roars above her. The Unsullied line the path, and Jon? He bows, deep, then raises his eyes. I am Aegon Targaryen, son of Rhaegar, your nephew, and I didn't come to bend the knee. He takes a breath. I came to offer you the realm. Jon Snow, Aegon Targaryen, stands before Daenerys Stormborn in the burning sun of Meereen, the 2 last children of House Targaryen, staring across history and blood. Daenerys says nothing at first. She studies him. The way he stands, the way he speaks. There's something in his eyes, something familiar, not soft, not innocent, but broken and focused. Drogon circles above, watching. Jon doesn't flinch. I didn't come here to take your throne, he says. I came to take mine, the North, what I've earned, what they tried to steal from me. Dany asks the only question that matters. Are you loyal? And Jon answers, not with a yes, but with fire. He pulls out the dagger he kept from Winterfell, the same one Catelyn once held to his throat. He drops it at Daenerys' feet. I had every reason to destroy the Starks, but I didn't. Not yet. That "not yet" hangs in the air like thunder. Daenerys nods slowly. You'll fight for me then. Jon steps closer. I'll fight with you, never under you. She pauses, and then she smiles. The dragon blood in both of them understands. There's no peace without fire. So it begins. Jon stays in Meereen for weeks, trains with Grey Worm, speaks with Tyrion, who's now Daenerys' advisor. The more they talk, the more Tyrion realizes something chilling. This isn't the Jon Snow he once knew. This Jon is colder, sharper, calculating, and, worst of all, charismatic. People are listening to him, some more than her. Back in Westeros, chaos reigns. Robb Stark finally learns the full truth, from Catelyn herself. After she escapes Winterfell, half dead and frozen, she rides south until she finds Robb's camp in the Riverlands. She confesses everything. The baby, the murder attempt, the lies. Robb is speechless, sickened. His entire war, and his kingdom, built on lies, but he still believes one thing. Jon is dangerous. He sends word to every bannerman. If Jon Snow returns to Westeros with dragons, we meet him in the field. And we end this. Meanwhile, in Winterfell, Ramsay Bolton has turned the castle into a butcher's den. Theon is flayed alive. The small folk are chained. The banners of Stark are burned, and in their place, the flayed man of House Bolton. But that was Jon's trap all along. He wanted Ramsay to show his face, because now Daenerys has the excuse she needs. Tyrion makes it clear to her and Jon, if you want the realm, you must start by freeing the north. So they sail, Jon, Daenerys, Tyrion, Grey Worm, and 3 dragons. They land at White Harbor. The Manderleys join them immediately. Word spreads. Houses rise, old alliances shift. And as they march north, the small folk start chanting, "The White Dragon comes." At the gates of Winterfell, Ramsay waits, cocky, grinning, holding the last letter Jon ever sent him, unread. He opens it now, reads it aloud. You think you've taken my home, but you've just built me a reason to burn yours. The battle is quick, brutal. Drogon tears through the sky. Rhaegal and Viserion scorch the flanks. The Unsullied storm the gates. Ramsay tries to run. Jon finds him first. No words. No speeches. Just a sword to the chest. And Ramsay Bolton dies in the snow, screaming. Jon reclaims Winterfell. But the banners that rise aren't just wolves anymore. They're wolves wrapped in flame. House Stark Targaryen. Robb finally reaches Winterfell, too late. He finds Jon sitting on the high seat, and next to him, Daenerys, Queen of Dragons. Jon stands. I don't want your war, Robb, he says, but I won't bow to a brother who let me rot in the shadows. Robb's hand goes to his sword. But Daenerys speaks first. If you want to fight us, you'll burn. And that's the final choice. Robb can draw steel or bend the knee. He does neither. He walks away. The north remains split. But Winterfell is no longer the seat of a broken house. It's the throne of something new. A king born of fire and betrayal. Mother's hatred couldn't kill him, a war couldn't break him, and now, the bastard is the bloodline, the outcast is the heir, the wolf is now the dragon.